Right, let's carry on with where we were. Este, so the second one down is again a plural, and you can kind of see the plural even if you weren't too sure from the fact that the adjective which we're using is in the plural. So this is the second person plural, so it's you are. And that's the word for a Jew or Jewish. Okay, so you can either have you are Jews or you are Jewish. Either would be fine depending on the context as to what you wanted to describe. So we're describing something plural here, and we just need to be again familiar with the form of the verb to be. Remember, it's a bit irregular, and you just have to learn those ones. Okay, so number 3, Emmy is I am. And so now we're in the singular form. So this is the first person singular. So I am, and pistos is the word for faithful or believing. So I am faithful. Okay. So monos, number 4. So think about that one. Now, when we talked about this, we did mention that there was another word that looks very similar, which is a without the circumflex over the top, so without that special little accent. And the reason why we include the accent is so we know we're talking about the verb to be here, which is the second person singular. So this is you are again. Of course, in our English language, we don't distinguish between singular and plural when it comes to second person. The context will tell us. In Greek, of course, we have 2 different words, and also the endings will be different. So we've got monos, so it's in the singular form. So you are alone, or you could be, it's probably the best way to put it, you are alone. So monos is to be on your own, alone, only, the only one. You are the only one, or an only one, something like that. Again, context would indicate as to what kind of part the adjective is playing. This word here means if, by the way. And so when we look at that, that's just another word, but it doesn't have the little circumflex on it. So number 5, asin, heteroi. So that's the third person plural. So we're talking about they in this case. So they are. And heteros, and you probably can kind of remember that one quite easily. It's to do with something being different. So hetero, so we got that from the Greek. So heteroi, so they are different. And then finally, ta biblia isin cana. So here we've got a plural noun. Biblion, it's a neuter noun, and the plural has that alpha ending, not to be confused with a feminine. So ta biblia, which is the nominative or accusative, so the subject object form of the neuter. Remember, they repeat themselves both in the singular and in the plural. The context here implies a subject rather than an object. So the books, and the books are, and then cana, so kane, which is hey kane diatheke, which is of course the New Testament, and this is the word for new. They are new. No, the books are new. Okay, so it's a little reminder there of the verb to be. That's the present form of the verb to be, and some of the adjectives which we've been looking at, and hopefully just a little bit of a quick translation there. Right, we'll have a look at the bits we're going to look at today. So if we go on to the English grammar check first of all, and we'll just remind ourselves of a few things. So we've been talking about adjectives, although we're going to spend more time talking about nouns really today, but they kind of come under the same bracket in terms of what we're doing, because we use the verb to be to describe or to add more detail to a subject. And an adjective is a word that describes a noun. So we have two which we've looked at: the attributive position. So in this case, we might say something like the good book. So we could take the adjective out, which is good in this case, and we can just talk about the book. So the book, we now know a bit more about the book. The book is good. It describes it. The predicative position uses the verb to be, and so that's like we've just been looking at. We did the very last one, we put the books are new. Here the book is good. So in the predicative position, the adjective comes after the verb to be, and it kind of gives you a bit, it sort of says the same thing in a way, but it probably emphasizes a bit more. It's describing what the book is like in a similar way. So it's just another form of being able to describe something using an adjective. We didn't talk about adjectives as nouns. So we might say something like the small and the great are learning Greek. And of course, we imply then the small, whether we're talking about people or whether we're talking about students, wherever we might be, there's a noun that kind of sits in there. And that's kind of supplied with our understanding when we sort of speak the sentence. So we can use an adjective to describe a group of people, and we can use them in the place of a noun, is essentially what we're doing there. And one like the just are living by faith, for example, the just people, the just ones. And in Greek, we looked at how we could do that. We can use the adjective without any noun associated with it. And then we kind of we can then translate it accordingly. It's basically acting as a noun. So we looked at that. What we're going to look at today, which we'll move on to now, is a couple of special uses of the verb to be. So we'll do them one at a time. So the first one we're going to look at is this one called the preparatory use. So if we just kind of have a look at an English version. So if I was to use this sentence here, this is an indication of, I'll highlight it, of its preparatory use. So if we use there here, so there is a teacher teaching Greek. Okay, now we've got the verb to be in here. And we've got the noun really. This sentence is about a teacher and what the teacher is doing. The teacher is teaching Greek, which is what we've got here. So if I'd use the noun form here, the teacher, then I've used my verb to be, which is obviously is in this case. And then the teacher is doing something and I'm going to describe it. We won't go into what form this exactly is, but it tells me something about the teacher. Okay, so the teacher is teaching Greek. We could turn that round a little bit and it would mean the same, sort of the same thing. If we were indicating that there is a teacher teaching Greek, we might be indicating to somebody over there is a teacher teaching Greek. So we can insert this sort of front word here, there. The teacher then kind of moves to the other side of the verb, which we've got here is, and instead of it being a specific, I noticed that it's turned into an indefinite. All right, so it's gone from the teacher to a teacher. All right, that's kind of important in terms of the way the structure will work. We're going to look at how the Greek then uses this this type of sentence if it wants to have this as a sentence as opposed to the one that we've been looking at here. And it's actually to do with word order. So we have talked a little bit about word order not being massively significant in terms of which words go where in a sentence. There are some cases where the word order either adds emphasis or does change the actual translation or the structure of the sentence. And this is one of the cases. Okay, and I'm just going to show you how that works, where we can insert a there is at the or a there, and we might put there are if it's plural at the start of a sentence. And we do that in Greek if the verb to be is put at the start. So let's have a look at an example, shall we, of that. Let's go down to this one. So let me first of all go through how we would normally construct a or you've seen this structure of a sentence so far. So if we look at this one we've got here, so ho adelphos estin meta to palu, and if we were to translate that, maybe you can translate all of those words. Hopefully you've met ho adelphos. So this is the brother. And this is our noun, okay? This is our noun at the start. It's our nominative, all right? It's the subject of whatever we're talking about here. And it's going to be the third person singular. So the verb that's coming following it, which we'll put in green, estin. So estin, which is the verb to be, but it means, okay, he or she or it is, okay, he, she or it is. So the brother is. And then meta to Paulu. Now meta can take one of two cases. Okay, when we looked at the prepositions, meta could take two cases. With the genitive, which is what we have here, it means with. So we have the brother is with, and then this has, because it's in the genitive, that's what the preposition means, with, and then this is Paul. Okay, so the brother is with Paul. That's translation of a sentence that we've looked at before, and that's how we would use the verb to be in that sense. Now, if we move the estin to the front, so notice what we've done here is the estin has now moved to the front. Okay, and instead of having ho adelphos, we drop the definite article, drop the article. Okay, and this now doesn't translate as our brother is with Paul, although that's kind of what it means. We would actually write this as there is. So this now translates to there is, and then we've got a brother with Paul. And this here is the preparatory use of the verb to be. It's where the estin has been moved to the front of the sentence and it now means there is. Okay, so that might appear, that it sort of comes up. It's not a major thing, it's just you kind of need to know that if you see if you start your sentence with estin, then that's what it's meaning. Right, so that's all there is to it. The plural form means the would be the same thing. We just have there are. Okay, there is and there are. So let's have a little look, shall we, at trying to translate a few sentences. Maybe I'll do another one with you, shall I? So this is actually a combination of them. So some of them are preparatory and some of them are not. So the idea here is just to work out whether you're going to translate it as, like we did, the brother is with Paul, or whether you're going to put there is a brother with Paul. Okay. So try and have a go at translating some of these. You will need the adjectives from before. I can put them up for you. Just give me a moment. You might just need your vocab to check on those. Do you want to have a little go and see if you can translate some of them? And then we'll have a look at some answers in a moment.